Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Google Play policies. I'll just give everyone a second to settle in. I will do a check if everything is working. Everyone can hear me and see me well. Hope that's the case. Okay, looks like it. So let's get this started. Warm welcome, good day, and good morning to you all. I know you're watching this from different locations in the region. It's great to see everyone virtually. My name is Masha. I'm part of the Google Play Partnerships team. I work with app developers in Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. Great to see everyone. And I hope you, your teams, and your families are keeping well, safe, and healthy. I'll be one of your hosts today for this virtual event that we are running. So let me start by sharing a little bit what you should expect from today's session. I'll walk you through the agenda, and we'll take it from there. So I'll do a very quick welcome part from my side, and then I'll hand it over to Moon, my colleague, who will walk you through the main part of today's session, which is understanding Google Play policies. We're committed to providing more information, details, clarifying any questions and concerns around the topic of play policies. And this is really the goal for today's session. So Moon is going to walk us through upcoming changes, updates, important announcements. And most importantly, he will also address the questions that you might have around these policies. Big thank you to everyone who has submitted the questions in advance. It really helps us understand what is top of mind and prepare the most relevant information for you. And then we're gonna close it with a quick wrap up from my side as well. So if this sounds good as a plan, let's dive right in. I think before we go through the specifics of policy, just want to take a step back and speak about the Southeast Asia and Australia and New Zealand digital ecosystem, which you all help create and grow as developers and our partners. You know, with more than 420 million active internet users, this is such an exciting space. On the Google Play side, we want to provide the optimal store experience on Android, connecting millions of users every day to the great digital experiences, but also create a safe and secure discovery and distribution platform for developers. By building apps that delight millions of users every day, you developers are building an ecosystem that entertains, engages, and empowers users worldwide. Today, Google Play is present in 190 plus countries, and we have over 2 billion monthly active users. This scale is possible because of you, our developers. And we aim to listen and hear from you continuously and take in your feedback as we evolve our products and our policies. So we hope that today's session will focus a lot on the feedback that you've provided, as well as we're going to address your top of mind questions and concerns in the Q&A session. We'll talk a lot today about trust and safety. It's a topic that's really the cornerstone of our policies and how we design and enforce our policies. And it's also at the core of how we support our developers. We aim to equip you with relevant and actionable best practices at every stage of your journey as a developer. And that ranges from helping you optimize your app performance, testing it, and having it reach the right audiences. We aim to make Play a safe platform for users. I do want to reiterate a very important point, that we do not succeed unless our partners you succeed. So we often get asked, how we think about updating our policies. And to give you a bit of a preview, with each update to our store policies, we aim to empower and encourage our developers to invest in their growth and in their users' growth. Our policies are an important element that ensures that users have a trustworthy experience on Play. And speaking of trustworthy, again, going back to the idea of trust, without user trust, there will not be a thriving platform and an ecosystem to begin with. I really like the visual that's showing up on the screen now that shows how everything in this ecosystem is interconnected. What am I talking about specifically? We want consumers to trust that the apps they download on the Play Store are safe and reliable. We want developers to have a great experience sharing their apps through Play, one that is easy to navigate, clear on the requirements, and fair for everyone involved. So when we think about how all of these elements are connected with each other, it's easier to think what are the different points we need to take into account when we develop and enforce our policies. Another important note, and I think you'll hear us speak about this in more detail later today in the session, is on privacy and permissions. We want Google Play to be a platform where your apps can offer a highly personalized experience to users. That's part of making users' lives simpler, but at the same time, privacy is paramount. So users want more transparency and more control in terms of their personal and device data and how that data is being accessed by apps. In fact, users expect Google Play and Google Play developers to do more to safeguard that. So later in our session, we'll hear a few more details around some of the policies that touch on the permissions on Play for developers. We're often asked about the how of creating and enforcing policies on Play. So maybe wanted to provide a few more details here as well. When we create the policies, we try to strike a balance. We want to help publishers and developers earn revenue on our platform. And we also want to help advertisers reach their customers. But this is difficult. And to be successful at doing so, we really have to be good at striking a balancing act. With enforcement, sometimes advertisers may think we don't go far enough. Oftentimes, developers may think we go too far. So when we create these policies, we must keep in mind the needs of the entire ecosystem. And goes back to this idea of interconnectivity when we talk about a digital place like Play. On the enforcing side, this is also a space that we often get questions from you about. I wanted to provide a bit more details. We aim to be best in class. Our trust and safety teams include a diverse set of people from different backgrounds. We have data scientists, engineers, subject matter experts, and we've also been doing this for many, many years. So we've learned a lot along the way, and we've built systems based on those learnings. When it comes to enforcement, we use a combination of human and automated reviews to provide scalable and automated defenses to continuously identify, clean, and defend our platform. We want this to be a safe and enjoyable space for all the players in this ecosystem. This is it from my side. I know most of you are here not for my welcome part, but really for the session that's about to follow. So I'm gonna wrap it up here with my updates, and I will hand over to Moon, who's our content operations lead, and he'll walk you through the latest updates on Google Play policies and then take you through the Q&A session. So with that, Moon, over to you.
Thank you, Masha. Hello, everyone. Great to meet you all, and hope all of you have been staying safe and healthy. My name is Moon, and I lead Play content operations for Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. It's really an honor to present on behalf of my team, and I hope this session helps you better understand the policies we introduced. With that, let's begin. Today, I will mainly walk you through key updates on recent Play developer policies. As many of you should have already watched the Policy Bites video from our Android developer YouTube channel, I'll try to skim through the content as quickly as I can. Also, to freshen up your awareness, I'll briefly introduce some key updates reminders and some of the best practices that can help your app publishing experiences on Google Play. And lastly, I'll be hosting a Q&A session followed by this presentation, so please stay tuned. First of all, let's take a look at the March 2021 key updates. As many of you should have been aware, we have recently announced a new set of policy updates, including all files access permission, updated policies on the news apps, clarifications for user data, and families ads and monetization policies. Last but not least, we also introduced the new policy around the package visibility permission. And let me walk you through the high-level view of what were announced. First of all, I will start off with the all files access permission. Last July, we announced the scope storage requirement for apps targeting Android 11 and above to give users more access control over their device storage. We clarified that files and directory attributes on a user's device are regarded as personal and sensitive user data, and apps should only request access to device storage, which is critical for the app to function, and may not request access to device storage on behalf of any third party for any purpose that is unrelated to critical user-facing app functionality. Starting May 5th, developers with apps that need access to another app's files, such as media, must submit a permission request in Google Play Console. I understand that you may have some technical questions to comply with the new policies, but I'm really sorry that I can't walk you through the technical details today due to time constraints. But my colleague Fred from the developer relations team posted an awesome video on YouTube to explain you the technical details. So to find out more about technical details and requirements of the changes, please visit the link or scan the QR code in this slide. Next topic is around the News Apps policies. Through the March update, we clarified the News Apps policies as we had received many follow-up questions about the policies since we made the big update on them last year. First of all, the primary purpose of apps that declare themselves as news cannot be user-generated content, like you see in the social media apps. Also, apps that declare themselves as news may use ads and other forms of marketing to monetize as long as the app's primary purpose isn't to sell products and services or generate advertising revenue. In this example, you see an app that selected the news category, but has scattered affiliate marketing and ad revenue that could be viewed as the app's primary purpose. Please keep in mind that this will be strictly prohibited once the policy enforcement begins in early May. Next topic is around the family's policies. In order to protect children from ad experiences that may be unsafe, frustrating, or detrimental to their development, we have specific policies that apply to advertising and monetization in families' apps. Last year, we launched a new requirement that ads must be closable after 5 seconds of viewing. And to clarify, this requirement also applies to rewarded ads. We have added an example to common violation section explicitly depicting a non-compliant rewarded ads experience and a screenshot. We've also updated the family's policy requirements with additional clarity on app functionality. So if your app targets children, it must not merely provide a web view of a website or have a primary purpose of driving affiliate traffic to a website, regardless of who owns the website. So let's take a look at this example of an app that just shows the web view of an existing web page. So this is going to be prohibited and may result in app removal or suspension. Lastly, I will walk you through a new policy around package visibility permission. So using data responsibly means that developers only access personal data that they need. Later this year, we'll be introducing a new policy where developers will need to request permission and be approved for their app to view what other apps are installed on user's device. So if you plan to request this permission for apps on device targeting Android 11 or above, you will be required explain why your app needs the permission in the Google Play console. And this will be available from July. We know making updates can take time, so we'll be sure to give you 60 days advance notice before deadline starts. So please stay tuned. I would also like to add a couple of important notes on the updated policies that the inventory of installed apps queried from a device are regarded as personal and sensitive user data subject to the personal and sensitive information policy. Also, please keep in mind that apps that have a core purpose to launch, search, or interoperate with other apps on the device may obtain scope-appropriate visibility to other installed apps on the device. So let's take a look at the example case together. In the example on the left, you will see the game Joe's Fruit Match that put in a prominent disclosure of the app on the use of permissions. However, the game likely does not meet the requirement of its core purpose being to launch, search, or interoperate with other apps on the device. And this would be prohibited. In the example on the right, you will notice an antivirus security app. And its core purpose requires the launch, search, or interoperability with other apps on the device in order to perform its function. This would likely be an acceptable use case, and the developer would submit their app for feedback to use this permission in Google Play console. And I understand that you may have other technical questions to comply with the new policies, but again, I apologize that I can't walk you through the technical details today. So to find out more about technical details and requirements of the changes, please visit the link or scan the QR code in this slide. You will be able to learn the details by watching the video on YouTube. And here's when our enforcement grace period will end for new and existing apps. So last July, we announced all files access permission change. And on March 31st, around 2 weeks ago, we announced the policy changes which we talked about today. And please note that the policy updates listed here will be enforced starting from May 5th. And later this year, we will start enforcing the package visibility permission change, but we do not have the exact date yet. However, please be ensured that we will give you 60 days advance notice before we do so. So please stay tuned. Let's also take a quick look at some of the key updates that we made in the past as a reminder to refresh your memories. First topic of the key update reminder is around the background location permission. Last year, we've announced our new location policy to promote transparency and limit access to location data, especially in the background. The essence of the new policy is that your app should not request access to location in the background unless it's required. With more than 6 months of grace period, we started to enforce all apps on Play Store violating the new background location permission starting from Q1 this year. To build location privacy-friendly apps, I wanted to reinforce a few important principles by giving you a list of questions that you can ask yourself before implementing a feature on your app. First, is the feature important to the core purpose of the app? Second, can you deliver the same experience without accessing location in the background? Third, does the feature deliver clear value to the user? Last but not least, would users expect the app to access their location in the background? Please ask these questions to yourself before using the background location permission, and we recommend you to submit the application only if you can clearly answer all these questions, because we use these questions as well to define the location permission review criteria. Then let me also share you some tips to avoid location permission policy violation. Number one, understand the location permission policy if your apps use device location data gated by location permissions. Second, review the background location access checklist from developers.android.com to identify any potential access in your code. Remember, you're also responsible for any data requested and used by third-party SDKs in your app. Third, if your app can support its use cases without requiring any location data, don't request any location permissions. Minimize your use of location by using alternative where possible. Number four, if your app collects location information, explain to users how your app uses this information to deliver specific benefits to them. Make sure this disclosure appears before the feature requiring location permission is triggered. Number five, provide a valid link to a privacy policy. Remember that the access, use, collection, and sharing of the location data should be clearly articulated in the privacy policy. And lastly, would a user be able to reasonably guess your app will be using data? Your app will be using their location data all the time? If not, consider revising these elements prior to proceeding. A lot, but please make sure to spend some time to review the details from our policy center to fully understand the location permission policy and avoid any potential enforcement on your app. Lastly, I wanted to make a note that apps that will target Android 12 will no longer start foreground services while running in the background, except for a few special cases. When Android 12 beta is released, Work Manager will become the recommended solution for developers starting higher priority background tasks. This update is important since with background location policy guidelines, we allowed the developers to access location in the foreground, which includes either from a user, either from a user visible UI or foreground service. Android 12 is closing that path, and foreground services cannot be started from the background. For more information about the future change, please visit developer.android.com. Next topic is around the requirements for the new Android App Bundle and Android 11. Starting August 2021, new apps will need to first publish with the Android App Bundle format. Second, use Play Asset Delivery or Play Feature Delivery to deliver assets or features that exceed download size of 150 megabytes. Expansion files, also known as OBBs, will no longer be supported for new apps. And lastly, new apps will need to target API level 30 or above and adjust for behavior changes. And from November 2021, app updates will be required to target API level 30 or above and adjust for behavior changes in Android 11. So existing apps that are not receiving updates are unaffected and can continue to be downloaded from the Play Store. Also, Google Play is committed to a healthy ecosystem where developers succeed by creating high-quality apps that users love. We are furthering these efforts with the launch of Billing Library version 3. And this version includes new ways users can pay, subscription promotion capabilities, purchase attribution for games, and improvements to purchase reliability and security. As announced last year, starting August 2nd this year, all new apps must use Billing Library version 3 or newer. And by November 1st, all updates to existing apps must use Building Library version 3 or newer. And last topic of the reminder section is around the real money gambling policy updates we recently announced earlier this year. We want to enable developers around the world to build sustainable businesses on Google Play. And we make updates as part of a continuous effort to make Google Play a positive, safe experience for everyone. After speaking with developers and thoughtfully analyzing how our policies and app review processes can help protect users and developers, we've added regional updates for real money gambling countries and clarifications to the Gamify loyalty program policy requirements effective March 1st, 2021. And to apply for distribution of a new online gambling app or a new distribution country or region, or new gambling category supported by Google Play for an existing app, please fill out the gambling application form for each market where you want your particular app distributed. Sorry, I'm in the room that detects the motion and just turns off the light. So to continue, also make sure it's in appropriate categories on the Play Store, such as games, casino, or games card, or games sports or entertainment, and has an IR content rating, such as an ESRB equivalent rating of adults only, and meets the requirements listed on the Policy Center. Also, please keep in mind that certification and app review may take at least a week or more. And due to the sensitive nature of gambling apps, attempts to bypass the certification process and repeated or serious violations may result in full removal from Google Play. And finally, before moving on to the Q&A session, I will now walk you through some of the best practices to help improve your app publishing experiences on Google Play. And to help optimize your app publishing experience, we'd like to share the best practices and quick tips on first planning for app reviews and using managed publishing, and filing an appeal, reporting content for legal reasons, and providing advance notice to app review team, and lastly, flagging inappropriate apps. And let me first start with the planning for app reviews. Often, developers and users think that we have an army of robots who will review all apps on Google Play. While parts of the app review process are definitely automated, but majority of policy enforcement actions that impact your app pass through human evaluation. Also, many of you should have already experienced longer publishing time than before, and I assure you that this is absolutely normal. With more policy launches and its corresponding review criteria, especially during this unprecedented global pandemic period, it's best to plan in advance and give at least 7 days lead time for app review and publishing. Sometimes review can take shorter than 7 days, but that doesn't mean that your app's next review will take the same or less amount of time. So please always consider the app review time as one of the most important processes of your app publishing journey. And one efficient and effective way to plan app review ahead of time is to utilize managed publishing feature from Google Play Console. Knowing when your app is in review, when it's been approved, and when it can go live on Google Play helps you set your own schedule. When you enable managed publishing, approved changes will only go live when you decide, instead of automatically after review and processing. This allows you to submit changes long before your intended release date, giving yourself time to review or make changes without sacrificing control over your publishing date. So hope this helps, and let's move on to the next topic. I'll also briefly mention about the appeal process to help you better understand what you can do once you receive an enforcement email from us. When you receive any enforcement mail from us, first of all, don't panic. We understand that your app may contain policy violating contents unintentionally, and we're here to help resolving the problem with you, because we also don't want to see your app or game getting removed from the store. Once you get the notification from us, and if you review the policy and feel our decision may have been an error, please reach out to our policy support team. We'll get back to you within 2 to 7 business days. And again, please be mindful that our response could be slower than normal during the COVID-19 period. Therefore, to avoid extra back and forth rallies, please explain the reason thoroughly and submit relevant documentation for accelerated review. Lastly, we also understand the urgency of the problem when you receive an enforcement notice from us, but please do not submit duplicate appeals. This will definitely slow down the process. And above all, to avoid experiencing the appeal process from the beginning, it's always best to learn and be aware of the policies that impact you, especially the new policy updates that we often announce. And next topic of discussion is around intellectual property. And please let us know if you find an app violating the Google Play Developer Distribution Agreement, such as copyright and trademark infringement. Go to g.co/legal and create a request for our legal team to further investigate and protect your copyright and trademark rights. But please note that with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, also known as DMCA, we cannot take action against any apps or games infringing your intellectual property without your formal legal request to remove the violating content. We understand that submitting a report is a cumbersome task, but to protect your intellectual property rights, please make sure to report us using the link on the slide. On the other hand, to avoid your app being enforced with intellectual property policy violation, please make sure to use the advanced notice feature in Google Play Console when you publish your app and submit a proof of permission. The app review team accepts advanced notice about your upcoming app or store listing publishing event. Also, please let our team know if you find an app that you believe is in violation of Google Play content policies. You may fill out the form through this link or the QR code in this slide. Also, make sure to visit the Play Developer Policy Center and Google Play Academy's policy curriculum, which features several new introductory policy videos. Also, subscribe to the Android Developers YouTube channel and make sure your email is up to date in the Play console so that you can get the latest updates on our policy in time. This is the end of the presentation for today, and thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, Moon. This was really insightful. Thanks for walking us through it. And thanks again to everyone who submitted the questions in advance. I think it's great to address live questions and have a discussion. I know I've taken some notes for myself as well and learned a few things. We're almost done with our session for today. I would like to very kindly ask you to please take a moment and check out our feedback form and please fill it in. You should be seeing it on your right. The form is available. Definitely assuring you we're looking through all of the points of feedback that you share with us. And also we keep this webinars regular, which means it would be great if you could give us a few pointers on what was useful, what was most helpful, and where we can do a better job. This time is yours, and we want to make sure we prepare in the best possible way, and we make a good use of this time for everyone. So I'm just gonna maybe give everyone a few seconds to look through the form, and if you're ready to send it over, please do so now. You're welcome to fill it in later as well, but we really appreciate it, and it's important, especially for virtual events, to have an understanding of how useful this really was. So just giving a few seconds for everyone. While you folks do that, I did want to share another important update, and I promise this is the last point before we wrap up. Some exciting news coming up. As we've mentioned a few times throughout this session today, on the Play side, we're really committed to helping all developers succeed on our platforms. And we also want to make it even easier for developers to innovate and grow their business on Play. So what does that mean? With that in mind, starting July 1st, 2021, so later this year, in just a few months, we will be reducing the service fee on the first 1 million in annual revenue to 15%. So $1 million, the first one would be with a service fee of 15%. What's important to call out is every developer, regardless of your total annual revenue, will be eligible to benefit from this change. And we also wanted to note that that means that 99% of developers receiving a revenue payout from Google Play will effectively get a 50% reduction in service fee. We are excited about how this will fuel more innovation and growth on our platform. There are more details on this change on our developer blog, so please feel free to take a look and do let us know if any questions come up. This really was it from us, the last piece of update and the last point on the agenda. I will bring up once again the link to our feedback form. You probably are used to those if you join in regularly into our webinars. And as I said, we take it seriously. We'll look through all of the comments that you leave, so please take a moment to fill this in. I think that's it from our side. Big thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to dial in and watch today's session. We hope it was useful. We'll see you soon online, and until then, please stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you again for joining us today.